Well, we parents know this battle very well. Social media. Which apps do our kids use? How often should they use them? What should the rules look like? Our WTHR education expert, Jennifer Brinker from Greenwood Middle School, is here to help us kind of navigate through some of that stuff this morning. To start off, Mrs. Brinker, you work in a middle school, so give us the good, the bad, the ugly of social media.
I'll start with the good. Social media can be very entertaining for adults and kids. It can be a fun way to socialize with friends. And really what we have to remember is that it's a marketing tool. So as our kids get older into high school, social media can be a wonderful way for them to send positive messages out there about themselves, because colleges, universities, workplaces are all going to be checking those sites out. But unfortunately, there's a lot of bad that comes along with it. And I think parents either don't often know the dangers of that, or they might think it doesn't apply to their child.
All right, so what tops the list of dangers and don'ts?
Parents really need to think of social media just like a big open public space. So if you wouldn't feel comfortable necessarily dropping your child off at a mall or the airport without really overseeing who's there, what they're doing, what's going on, then social media, you need to think of it, because we're not doing that maybe physically, but emotionally, it's opening kids up in the same way. So what tops that list as a danger often, and this is probably, common sense to people, but is cyberbullying. And a recent study actually showed that 59% of kids from the ages of 10 to 18 say that they have experienced some sort of cyberbullying. And we know that that can be done a lot more easily behind a screen than it is face to face with people. And that can have a lot of impacts on kids, but also depression too can come from social media.
Yeah, tell us more about that depression piece.
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, social media is really a marketing tool where people are showing the best versions of themselves and snippets from their life as possible. We know that kids and teens are often hypercritical of themselves already. So when they're constantly bombarded with images just, in the palm of their hand of people that are seemingly perfect, living seemingly perfect lives, then they can really start to have their own self-esteem plummet. And then that's when we see the increase in depression that comes along. So we have to remind our kids that what they see on social media really isn't real a lot of the time.
All right, so what do you tell the parents who say, I understand the risks, I'm going to let my kids have social media because I think they're ready?
I would say you need to know every app that's on your child's phone, open them regularly. There are some that look like very, common apps, like a calculator app that can actually hide, inappropriate pictures and things like that. You need to research those apps, know the age restrictions. Oftentimes we'll let our kids get Instagram accounts or TikTok accounts, but those age restrictions are actually not appropriate for them that are already in place. Check their privacy settings. Things like Snapchat have location services that predators can use to catfish your child and lure them into thinking that, they're talking to another 14-year-old, but it's actually someone much older. Research their friends, check their pages, let them know expectations. Disciplinary action can happen at school or legally for things posted on there. It's a lot, and it might sound like I'm suggesting that you be very invasive, but you really need to be. And just know, if all of that sounds like something you're not ready to keep on top of, then it's probably not quite time yet.
As the parent of a teenager, it is a full-time job checking that phone. But I always tell them, it's not your phone, it's mine.
That is exactly right. And with those devices come a lot of responsibility.
Yeah. All right, Mrs. Brinker, as always, thanks very much. We've got this whole segment and some tips and some helpful information online if you'd like to check it out at WTHR.com. We'll be right back.